materials involved, that's why I had to sign up. And I was like, I only have materials for a certain number of people. It was like, I felt bad because I wanted to include everybody, but somehow I magically had more materials than I planned. Still not enough for everyone.
Magic con.
Yeah, I kept pulling things out of my bag, and someone was like, "You have Mary Poppins' bag down there." I was like taking embroidery hoops out of my bag, like, "Oh, I have one more. Oh, I have one more."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
fun.
it's good. You only thought a couple of people would come to that.
I did. I was
And it was
really,
packed.
I was really nervous.
And people kept coming to
17
the
people
door,
came,
right?
and people kept coming to the door. And yeah, I was really nervous. That was my first time giving a panel, which is kind of funny to say because I'm the head of programming. So yeah, that was my first time giving a panel at. So I was like, and I don't know how many people are interested in embroidery, so I was nervous that nobody would want to come, but it was really fun. I really enjoyed doing it. I would definitely do it. I would definitely give a panel again.
I definitely think that was like the most out there thing I saw. It was like, because there's a lot of things, and I was like, embroidery? I was like, really? Yes. Like, there's so
Well,
much
so you got
stuff.
to do embroidery for like Star Wars character things or something, you know?
Yeah,
Tie it back into.
Well, you know what the funny thing is that well, I don't remember what I was doing. Oh, the Women in Tech meetup. There was like 4 people like knitting or embroidering or like doing some kind of weaving while we were just sitting there. So apparently it's very popular to do like, I don't know,
I've never embroidered, so I don't know.
Yeah.
old work. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah,
I
it's fun
thought
to
it
make
was
stuff.
cool.
Yeah,
Handwork
I
or
have a
something.
friend that knits because it keeps from tilting somehow.
Yeah, that's very popular.
Which is a good thing
I'm
usually.
just occupied.
I cross stitch too, but I didn't know that this was the kind of group of people who cross stitch.
Yeah.
Apparently it is.
Well, there's some people that cross stitch with conductive thread, so they're making circuitry at the same time.
Whoa.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Like, that's awesome.
So you'll find like all kinds of weird Venn diagrams.
So, you know,
Yeah. There's like actually like sewable Arduino, so you can get, it's like a little patch, you can sew onto some fabric and then you sew.
so we got to get those people into some kind of track, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
They need to be in the DIY track. That's cool.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of
Yeah, I
that
know,
before.
me neither.
I'm gonna
That's
look that
really
up.
neat. I'll definitely get on that for
Like you
next
find
year.
people with like sweaters that have like a cool cat design, and then the eyes will light up because there's like a Arduino patch on the battery over here.
Wow, we need that for, that's an amazing,
Well, as people do costuming,
crossover.
right? Costuming's a big thing here
Yes.
too. So
Yeah,
that'll feed
but
it.
that's a really cool crossover between tech and DIY.
Yeah.
That's really cool. One of the things I tried to do, I did this year, I didn't try to do it, I did do it, is double tag panels with their tracks in the schedule book. That's never, no one's ever done that before.
What do you mean double tag?
Double, like, if something was both, like if there was that,
Oh,
tag it
okay.
as both tech and
Oh, so I
DIY.
flip that around too and say things that are conflicting, right? So there's some things that you know,
Hey,
so there's a couple different ways of looking at conflicts, right? So one is the time conflict. We have 2 programming language related things today, and they're both at the same time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone did think, well, gee, what type of
Well,
things did, you know, if I had a
Someone did
programmer.
think about it, but someone had 479 hours of programming to
So-
schedule.
well, so the point is-
It's your fault.
Okay, so the point is, we need to help you with that. So how, you know, what
Well,
tools can
unfortunately-
we use to make that happen?
What's amazing that, actually, it's not Matt that's working on it, there's a man, Jeffrey, who is a graduate, a PhD student, who's working on Tuck Tracks with Matt, and he is working on developing the first scheduling algorithm that both takes into account what you're talking about,
Yeah.
which is conflicts, but it also takes into account what we were talking about before about the would attend, the stars. No one's ever used the soft data about people's preferences to try to make a schedule to minimize conflicts between the things that people want to attend. And he's actually working on writing an algorithm that will do that, and he's producing an academic paper over the next year that's going to look at that algorithm. So it's so the goal is by the time I do the schedule next winter to have a working algorithm that will create a first draft of the schedule that has already eliminated all speakers. There's quite a bit that goes into determining the scheduling. It's quite a bit more complex than it might appear at first glance. I mean, there are speaker.
2 weeks doing nothing.
Yeah, there are speaker conflicts, so each person who's presenting, and some people present up between 10 and 15 hours of programming in the weekend. Each person has to have no conflicts. Each event has to be scheduled in the correct room space with the correct, like if it needs a table, if it needs multiple tables, if it needs an open space, if it needs a stage, if it needs a projector. Each event needs to be in an appropriately sized room at an appropriate time of day, and then I try to minimize putting like sword making and sword fighting at the same time. So there's a lot of like push and pull, and to start with a draft with what Jeffrey and Matt are working on, like that would eliminate, at least for example, there would be no speaker conflicts in the first draft. Like that was the very first thing I got back from the person who, we run it through a database and it tells me all the speaker conflicts, and I got back like 40 conflicts the first time I did the schedule, and then I had to go through and manually correct each one of those conflicts and then send another draft, and then manually correct each conflict from that draft. So I probably did about 15 drafts of the schedule before we came to the one that actually ended up being the schedule that you guys saw at the con. So it certainly is not for lack of trying that you end up with things like 2 tech panels at the same time. We also had 74 hours of tech paneling. So with 74 hours of tech paneling, I can't not put 2 tech panels at the same time. There's 74 hours of tech paneling, which is amazing, but I mean, they're gonna conflict. But just starting from that place, I'm so excited about that, just having the opportunity to start from a draft that works, as opposed to like a draft that I made that, you know, is messy.
Of course.
Just have less good time.
Yeah, there's a solution.
Instead of the whole week.
I'll get on that next
It's
time.
not longer, like.
Hey,
Yeah.
can we do that? Can I just be like a whole show?
Yeah, seriously, I was like, oh, we got
4-day con.
I wonder if we can find a 3-day weekend with a Friday. People already show up at, I mean, we were here Thursday morning.
Yeah, people show up.
Yeah, people are here. It's about, we can talk about it.
So back to the topic of, you know, what, some of you came in a little later, is there something that prevented you from doing presentations? What can we do to make this easy? What can we do to make her job easier so that you can present? How's that?
One thing that would facilitate, like instead of just one person doing a lecture, like there's some stuff I would do, but I would like to find like 2 or 3 other people that are interested in the same thing, that would be interested in doing something.
Yeah.
And there's not a real easy way to like go out there,
Connect
okay,
with those
anybody
people.
want to do this? Okay, let's start talking about it.
Well, so I do, good, I like
That's a
that
great
idea, and
suggestion.
I do have some suggestions on that. So how do we get these suggestions out there? I mean, I belong to a user group, and we're constantly looking for presenters and people who want to do workshops. If we start doing that in some of these clubs in the area first, so now you get a practice run with this other person, right? Now you have an opportunity to hone your skills and get, you know, coordinate that a little bit between a couple different people.
And use your slides more than once, too. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I
work
think
to make it better.
it's really a synergy thing, right? You
But
got,
just-
you got 2 people who are interested
But
in
just
something.
finding somebody that's willing to sit up in front of a room.
What's your topic?
I had a bunch of different things. The thing I was trying to find people for was doing like a Middle East music jam and then doing a session about it.
Cool.
And there was one person, like 2 years ago, there was a jam thing, and I got somebody for that, and I was talking to her about doing it. Well, I just finally kind of figured out she does not want to be up front on anything. She does not want attention focused. She's a really great performer.
Well, isn't there already a message board though?
Yeah, I was gonna say the forums is one place, but right now we don't have a huge amount of users in our forums. So we are working on that, and I mean, as much as, you know, like if everybody here goes and joins the forums and you tell everybody you know who's at Penguicon, hey, join the forums, but we have to build that community. We just started our forums in what, February?
So they're very
So
recent.
it's brand new this
Say
year.
Very little looks, like each
Yeah.
topic only had like 50 views or something like that. They
It's
really had to push
it's
it
a
on,
brand
like,
new
oh,
addition to our community
I
this
would
year.
say too, you guys have a Facebook page too, right? I would say to really start pushing those forums, like, hey,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
We've been
Same.
doing that, our head of communications is trying to like double, like everything that goes on the forums, and then somebody will post on Facebook, hey, on the forum, somebody said this. Try to get people to go over to the forums. It's hard to build that new area, that new arena, but
Facebook's algorithm is so difficult about getting an important message out when you have a community group. I mean, whether or not they show your message, if you have an actual company page, you have to pay for people to see your
They'll show a
posts.
1/10 of the
Yeah.
people.
that's why we have a
Ridiculous.
what is it? A group page instead of a,
Right, that's why we have an event page, not necessarily a group page, right?
Yeah.
Because then
Yes.
people will see the posts. But even then, it's still a mess because, you know, you got cat
It's
pictures,
not 100%.
babies,
Yeah.
sonograms
Yeah.
and stuff, you know.
I didn't even know about the forums, so I'm a huge Penguicon fan, so I didn't know about that.
We'll talk about it at closing.
yeah, we're just gonna talk about it at closing.
See, it'd be cool, but probably overcomplicated for now, is if you had like a forum section, like, there's just a lot of preparation, but if you had a forum section for every session.
We were talking about that
Or
actually.
for every track.
Well,
We-
Tux Track
That
does
would be
that.
so
With Tux
cool.
Tracks,
Okay.
there's gonna be, You explain. I don't
Or at least the
remember what
thread.
Matt was
Matt
saying.
Arnold's gonna talk about that at closing too, I wanna give Matt the
You're
mic
gonna
and
give
let
Matt
him
the
talk
mic,
about
okay.
text track.
Yeah, there's something, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly. It's gonna, there's gonna be comments or something.
Okay.
And if you, like if you can comment on an event,
So it's at least
and then
like a
it's
thread
gonna
because
post to the
Is
forums.
it tuxtracks.org?
Yeah, tuxtracks.org. I don't remember exactly, but Matt is working on
There's an idea
something
with that.
related to what you said, to connect between tuxtracks and the
That's
forums
cool.
and commenting.
Because again, going back to my Mozilla thing, our little account that we have, one of the things we do is every session would have an Etherpad. Have you ever used Etherpad?
Not familiar.
Etherpad is a collaborative notepad. It's really cool.
It's like everybody types in the
It's
same
like,
space.
like Google
It's-
Docs kind of? Like you could do with Google
Yeah,
Doc where
it's
everybody's.
free and everybody gets a cursor, and what's amazing is it handled 3,000 people typing in one text area at once very well. But anyway,
But it's got a chapel on the
Yeah.
side, it's
Okay.
top teacher.
So
Very much like a collaborative Google Doc.
Yeah.
They basically bought the software and then gave it back.
Yeah.
See, TuxTracks also has a suggested presenters, so if, you have a panel and you put it out there, someone may suggest somebody to go on it because they see you're the only person
Yeah.
on it.
We were talking about
You
that.
did? Okay.
Anybody can go in and say,
Just looking at it
can
now.
volunteer themselves or suggest somebody else.
Yeah, see, it's more like, I wanna find somebody.
Right. But you could put that out there
Yeah,
and.
somebody might volunteer for it then.
Yeah.
Or somebody might go through and, like you could be in there and say, oh, my friend so-and-so would be perfect for what you're looking
Right.
for, and put their name and email address in, and then TuxTracks will generate, we're talking about what will happen, TuxTracks will generate an email to them and say, hey, somebody suggested you for a Penguicon event. Are you interested in doing that event? If so, go create an account and check it out.
Yeah, make it clear that people could suggest themselves too.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise people will go.
Absolutely.
"Oh."
So how does that work if somebody, like I want to help him with his thing and he doesn't really think I'm, a good guy at that and doesn't want me to be in it? You have like a approval, rejection kind of?
Ooh, that's.
That is probably mostly gonna go through me and my staff. But we don't have, Penguicon is pretty
Self-regulating.
self-regulating.
Okay, so
We don't-
he would probably want to talk to me directly.
Right,
so,
we don't usually
that's not what I'm
have-
after, right,
We don't usually have like people who are like, I wanna give, like I would never suggest that I would give a talk on Arduino. I know nothing about Arduino, so like I would never, it just doesn't happen very much that people are like, I wanna talk about this thing I don't know anything about.
Well, that's what I did with this BOFs thing, right? Put together a dozen BOFs and they all worked,
Right.
They're all on topics that I thought I would really like to see something. I could sit for 50 minutes and talk about that topic and not have any problem. But I think there are probably 10 other people somewhere that
Right.
would want to. So you're saying you want to do something on Arduino. Well, all you have to do is just put a BOF out there, right?
Right.
And there was one. So
Or if there was a BOF, that'd be a good place to source panelists for an actual panel the next year. Like, hey, you
Yeah.
wanna talk about this next year in a
yeah.
formal
Well,
place?
so
That's a
like,
great
here's another
idea.
thing is somehow capture. So we were talking about what is the attendance rate of some of these things, right? So you have to go around and have an individual.
We do that.
So okay, all right. So the thing is though, there
Somebody
isn't
counts
any way
every
of
single one.
capturing which people attended. So what?
Nuri would love to do that.
So-
That's his dream.
So my dream is to put RFIDs in everyone's badge.
I would love to do that, but he thinks everybody, speaking of the NSA, is watching you.
Yeah,
People would not like
So there has to be
that.
some
Piss off
kind
a
of-
lot of people.
some kind of voluntary portion of this, right? So
Like
something-
checking in, use on Foursquare or Yelp or
Yeah.
something that you opt
Yeah.
in for, not or automatically.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah,
Well, there's
yeah, right now, program ops, I don't know how familiar you are with the structure, but basically, so I'm programming, so I'm from the day after this con until about a week before next year's con, I'll be responsible for the programming. And then I do the whole schedule, I contact all the presenters, I handle all that, and then about a week before the con, I hand it off to program ops. And program ops, just like how ops runs the convention from con chair, program ops runs programming. So during the convention, if you have a programming change, it doesn't come through me, it goes through Mara, who handles program ops. And so not only do they run all the programming and handle any room changes or any cancellations or whatever, but she also counts every event. So she has a staff that goes in and sees them open the door and go, okay. And then hold up a sign when there's 5 minutes left, that's program ops.
So we have that data and it goes back
Yeah.
historically, I think, to the beginning of our,
Right.
And we
So
do
that-
try to use that data to inform
what kind of room.
room scheduling, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we do, I mean, we really, you know, this is not related to the topic at hand, but I will say one of the neatest things about working with Penguicon is that everybody is really interested in, it's volunteer, so, you know, we're all passionate about it. We wouldn't be devoting our time to it if we weren't, and everyone's really interested in doing everything we can to make it better.
It's the pay
So,
sucks.
yeah, the pay's not so good.
You get free beer.
Well, so, you know, I've got ulterior motives too. I'm trying to do some other things with other organizations, some other, you know, user groups and stuff. So I'd like to find some way of also grabbing some people who are passionate or interested in things and getting them to come to my organization and present,
You should
right?
have a few of us about it, I would've gone to that.
Or on the Facebook, I mean, part of Penguicon, and in fact, all of Penguicon is community. So if you are having something that you think the community is interested in,
Yeah, you can post about
throw it
that.
out on Facebook, throw it out on the general list and say, hey, we're doing this big thing. That's welcoming, that's what makes us more than just an event.
Yeah.
Just checking, like, if somebody does something, you like afterwards at least send them an email or something saying thanks for presenting, okay?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they've already gotten emails from me that say thanks for presenting.
Yeah.
I emailed all the presenters right before the con with like a last set of reminders and announcements, and in that email, thank them again. I thank them every time I email them, but and say things like, "Hello, wonderful
Hey, Drew, come
Penguicon
on."
presenters." But yeah, they'll all get a thank you email and also just a request for feedback from them. We also have a link for feedback. Penguicon.org/feedback.
2014.
2014.penguicon.org/feedback. So if you have other thoughts that you want to share with us, we'll be going through all that. And the Concom is the same.
Everyone is
For next year, we're all coming
feedback,
back. So you can rest assured that we're really, going to incorporate that feedback.
For your groups that you're part of, do you guys have meetup pages or is it?
I'll be there in 5 years.
So I haven't done a meetup for that. I did a meetup for another thing that flopped. The Mug one does. Mug has a meetup. Okay, thanks. So, you know, and I guess, you know, the idea is, we're a zero budget group, right? So for us to do anything like meetup would cost money. Somebody has to just take that out of their wallet and provide
So
that.
I'm a part of a meetup, an atheist meetup